Now, Carol was invited to a Halloween party in an abandoned house. Her friends asked if she was up for a challenge, and she said yes. Soon enough, she was locked inside a room. In this room, there was one door and 3 light switches next to it. Behind the door was an empty closet with nothing but a light bulb. Her task was to figure out which switch controls the light bulb inside the closet. She could flip the switches in whatever way she wanted, but once she opened the door, she couldn't touch the switches anymore. After some minutes of thinking, she was able to get it right. How did Carol do it? Okay, let's go step by step. She flipped switch number 1 and then waited a few minutes. She flipped it back to off and then immediately flipped switch number 2. Then she opened the door and checked the light. The bulb was off, so she discovered that it wasn't switch number 2 that controlled the light. So she decided to touch the bulb to test if it was hot or cold. If the bulb had been cold, that would have meant that switch number 3 controlled it. But the bulb was hot, so that meant that switch number 1 controlled 1. Way to go, Carol! To get back to the party, Carol had to solve another riddle. There were 2 hourglasses in front of her. One hourglass measures 7 minutes, and the other one measures 4 minutes. She needed to time 9 minutes using both hourglasses. How could she do it? First, she turned both hourglasses at the same time. By the time the 4-minute glass finished, there were still 3 minutes left on the other one. She flipped the 4-minute glass again. When the 7-minute glass was empty, there was 1 minute left on the other glass. And once the 4-minute glass emptied again, there was 1 minute's worth of sand at the bottom half of the 7-minute timer. She flipped it over again, so there was 1 minute worth of sand on the top of the glass. And when the 7-minute timer finally emptied again, 9 minutes elapsed in total. Now look at this party scene. Everyone is dancing in their Halloween costumes and having an enjoyable time. You've been told that one of these people is a real vampire. Can you figure out who it is? Let's see. The guy on the left is drinking something red, but he has a shadow, so he can't be a real vampire. The second lady looks creepy, could be her, but if you look closely at the mirror on the wall, you'll see her reflection, so it can't be her. And we can also see the reflection of the fourth guy in the mirror. This only leaves one lady left. She must be the real vampire. Anna sat down to watch her favorite TV show. She made some popcorn, turned on the TV, and nestled comfortably to binge-watch an entire season. Her cat Pepper sat down next to her, but after 5 minutes of screen time, Anna suddenly passed out. Look at the image. Can you guess what happened there? Anna's cat Pepper got scared with the loud thump that came from the TV. It jumped on top of Anna and it scared the life out of her. That's why she passed out. Brendan was camping alone in a remote location. He left his campsite and hiked 3 miles south. Then he turned east and hiked for another 3 miles. After that, he turned north and hiked for another 3 miles. After walking 9 miles, he was back to the exact same point from where he had left off. Plus, he got there just in time to find a bear trying to open his tent and steal his food. Look at the image. Can you guess the only place in the world where Brendan could be right now? It's the North Pole. That's the only place where you can hike for 3 miles south, east, and north and end up exactly where you left off. Fraser bought a cozy home in Vancouver. On a sunny day, he decided to take his dog out for a walk. When he let his dog off the leash, it ran extremely far away from him. At some point, the dog was opposite him across a huge lake. Fraser called his dog, who managed to cross safely to the other side of the lake without getting wet or using a boat. Can you guess how the dog managed to do it? Well, that's a trick question, but the dog could easily cross the lake since it was frozen. Your best friend invited you for brunch at a place called Wally's World. As soon as you arrive there, the hostess tells you that you need to solve a riddle to get inside. She tells us that there is only one rule at Wally's World. Over there is pizza with cheese, but no pizza with sausage. There is pepper, but no salt. There is a door, yet no entrance or exit. With this information, can you guess what the law is? Everything in Wally's World must contain double letters. So things such as pizza, pepper, and cheese are allowed inside. Whew! That sure wasn't obvious, huh? On a snowy winter afternoon, Dr. Brown was resting in front of the fireplace. Suddenly, somebody threw a snowball at his window. The hit was so strong that the glass shattered. Dr. Brown stood up just in time to see three neighborhood boys running away. They were brothers with the names John Smith, Mark Smith, and Dave Smith. The next day, a paper note was left on Dr. Brown's door. There it was written, a question mark, then Smith. He threw the snowball. Dr. Brown knew immediately which brother had done it. Can you figure it out too? It was Mark. You see, the note said, question Mark Smith. He threw the snowball. But the boys were clever and put a question mark instead to test Dr. Brown's detective abilities. Henry was backpacking through Brazil by himself. One evening at around 8 p.m., he got very hungry and decided to look for a cozy restaurant to have some dinner. He walked into a traditional restaurant only to find a customer and a waiter arguing over something. The customer said that he had ordered clam soup, while the waiter was saying he had only ordered a cup of tea. Henry saw something that immediately showed him who was lying. Can you find out too? The customer is lying. Behind him, there's a huge sign that says the restaurant only serves soup from 1 to 4 p.m. Since it was 8 p.m. in the evening, the waiter would have never accepted the customer's order in the first place. Cheryl ran into her house extremely worried. I set off as soon as I heard the news, she told the police officer. I was at my parents' house in another town. What's happened to my husband? Well, the police said, somebody hurt Mr. Moffat, and he ended up in the hospital. He's going to be okay, but we still need to find out who did this to him. The police officer has questioned 3 suspects so far. Mr. Moffat's secretary said, I was sent to visit Mr. Moffat's business partner in the morning. Some important documents needed signatures. The cook said, I haven't left the kitchen today. Mr. Moffat wanted me to prepare a meal for him and his wife. The housekeeper said, I didn't hear anything today. I was doing some household chores all day long. After that, I was so tired, I decided to take a nap. The police officer realized who the culprit was in no time. Can you figure out who did it? It was the cook. Mr. Moffat didn't ask him to cook anything for his wife, since she had been out of town all along. Elsa was 17 years old the day before yesterday. Next year, she'll turn 20.
Yay.
How come? It's possible if the present day is January 1st, while Elsa's birthday is on the 31st of December. The day before yesterday, on December 30, she was still 17 years old. Yesterday, on the 31st of December, she turned 18. Thus, this year, Elsa turns 19 and next year 20. Elsa and her sister Helga explore an old attic in their parents' house. It's very dark and dirty. After that, they go downstairs to have some lunch. Helga's face is all covered with dust, while Elsa's face is super clean. But still, only Elsa goes to the bathroom to wash her face. Why? Elsa noticed that her sister's face was dirty, so she thought her face must be dirty too. As for Helga, she saw that Elsa's face was clean and assumed that her own face was clean too. After lunch, Elsa and Helga go for a walk across an enchanted forest. They reach the riverbank, but the bridge is closed for repairs. The sisters notice two dwarfs fishing in a boat near the bridge. They agree to help the sisters, but their boat is very tiny. It can fit either one sister or two dwarfs. Luckily, they manage to solve this issue. Elsa and Helga cross the river on the same boat. How? Well, first of all, one of the dwarfs brought his fellow on the opposite bank. Then he headed back for the sisters alone. Helga got into the boat and crossed the river. She gave the second dwarf the boat, and he returned to the opposite bank. He picked his fellow dwarf and brought him to Helga. Then one of the dwarfs swam to Elsa and passed the boat to her. She crossed the river and joined Helga, and finally, the second dwarf returned to his fellow. Helga and Elsa keep on walking and get lost in the forest. There are 3 roads to the nearest town. The first route is filled with mutant plants which feed on humans. The second path leads through an ice cave with a hungry dragon frozen inside a huge ice cube. The third route leads through a village of fairies. Their magic makes humans lose their minds. Which way is safe? Well, the dragon is trapped inside the ice cube, so it's not that dangerous. Finally, the sisters reach the town. They're walking down the main street. Suddenly, someone throws an orange right at Helga's head. Elsa identifies the apartment from which the fruit fell out and goes there to complain. She knocks, and a young man opens the door right away. Elsa explains that her sister was hit by an orange that fell from his window. But the guy says, "I was washing my dog when you knocked. Only me and my pet live here, so you confused the floors." But Elsa didn't believe him. Why? According to the man, he was bathing his only pet, but the dog's hair is dry. Therefore, his story is fake. Elsa and Helga enter the local home decor shop. Helga takes a picture of her sister standing in front of the mirror. Can you spot anything odd in this photo? Take a closer look at the mirror. Elsa's hands are reflected wrong, as well as the sale poster behind her. She must be a vampire. Just kidding. The sisters continue exploring the shop, but suddenly Elsa begins to scream and runs away. That's because one of these ladies is not alive. Can you guess who? The first woman is an ordinary human. There's a mirror behind her. The third lady has a painting of herself in the background. And the second lady, who's looking over her shoulder, is a phantom. Her reflection in the mirror doesn't match the reality. Elsa decides to hide in a building nearby. Surprise! It's a pet shop. Elsa wanders around it and spots one weird detail. Can you see it too? The turtle is wearing sunglasses. The locals tell Elsa and Helga about a creepy werewolf who has been scaring the citizens for several weeks. They only know that this werewolf is a lady and she has a husband. He's the only person who can calm her down. Elsa finds 3 suspects who might be the werewolf's husband, but none of them admits it. Can you find him? He's the second guy. There are suspicious brownish hairs on his clothes, although his own hair is blonde. The next day, Helga has a birthday party. Elsa goes to the bakery to purchase a cake for her. She's late, so she rushes over and bumps into a waiter. Elsa hits her head and forgets what cake Helga asked her to buy. She remembers just 3 things. It shouldn't have any green elements, the cake frosting shouldn't include more than 1 color, and it must have at least 1 berry. Can you help Elsa find the correct cake? Elsa should take the 4th cake. It's a chocolate cheesecake, so it doesn't have anything green. The glazing is brown and is decorated with cherries. A perfect match. Elsa buys the cake and leaves. The bakery is located inside the highest tower in town. Elsa enters the elevator to go down, but she hits the wrong button and finds herself on the roof. She decides to take some pictures with the iconic huge clock installed at the top of this tower. Oops! Elsa drops her phone from the roof. She decides to leave, but someone has already locked the door, and the elevator won't work, so she's trapped on the roof. Luckily, Elsa can still change the time of the clock. What time should Elsa set on the clock to make someone notice and rescue her? If she sets 5:05 on the clock, it'll look like an SOS signal. Finally, Elsa escapes from the tower and heads to the parking lot. Here's her car. Can you figure out the number of the place where it's parked? '87. Elsa arrives home. Helga shows her vacation photos sent by her new boyfriend, Kyle. In this case, you can see Kyle, his friend Bob, and a humanoid robot, Neo. Neo is standing next to Bob. A person wearing the yellow mask is not a man. What color is Kyle's mask? According to the terms, only the 3rd guy can be Kyle, so his mask is blue. The birthday party is going well. It's almost midnight, so Elsa goes to the kitchen and adds candles on the birthday cake. Suddenly, she remembers that the only lighter in the house is upstairs in her room. She leaves the cake at the table for a minute. Then Elsa returns and sees the cake smashed all over the floor.
Oh, no.
She questions 3 suspects. Lauren says, "I was in the living room all night. I don't know who did it." Wendy says, "I went outside to watch the full moon. It's so beautiful tonight." Kyle says, "I was shooting a TikTok dance with Helga." Who ruined the cake? Wendy. Take a look out the window. The moon is not full. Busted. The next morning, Helga wakes up earlier than Elsa and checks her feed. Breaking news: a legendary thief ran away from a nearby prison and now creeps around the town. He's a talented shapeshifter, so no one knows for sure what he might look like. Suddenly, Helga hears someone ringing on the door. She opens and faces 2 guys who introduce themselves. Bob is a gardener from a nearby park, and Peter is a garbage man. Both guys want to use a bathroom, so they ask Helga to let them in. But only one of them is safe to invite over. Can you guess who? Bob is wearing clothes with red stains, but he's also holding a brush, so he was probably just painting a fence. Let's take a closer look at Peter's facial hair. One mustache has come unglued. It's fake. So he must be the runaway criminal from the news.
Sally, Molly, and Shelly are best friends. Only one of them is a mother. Can you guess who? Sally keeps diapers for newborns in the bathroom, so she's a mother. Sally, Molly, Shelley, and their friend Eric go for a walk late at night. They need to cross a bridge that will be lifted in 11 minutes. It will take Sally 3 minutes to cross it. Molly needs 4 minutes, Shelley 1 minute, and Eric 2 minutes. The bridge can only hold 2 people at a time, and the guys only have 1 lantern. So whoever crosses the bridge, someone has to go back to give the lantern to the others. What should they do? Eric and Shelley should go together first. It will take them 2 minutes to cross the bridge. Then, Shelley will spend a minute going back and passing the lantern. Then, Molly and Sally will cross the bridge. This will take 4 minutes. Then, Eric should go back with the lantern, which will take 2 minutes. And finally, Eric and Shelley will cross the bridge. The total time will be exactly 11 minutes. Eric lives on a farm and grows fruits. He's very angry because someone stole the largest watermelon from his garden the other night. Eric suspects one of his neighbors, so he decides to question them. Peter says, "Come on, Eric. Everybody knows that my fruits are way better than yours." Maya says, "I live alone and I'm allergic to fruits, so why would I steal your watermelons?" And Mike says, "I couldn't steal it even if I wanted to. I broke my right arm last week." Who's lying? Maya. Take a look at her blender. She's making a smoothie with banana and kiwi. Therefore, she lied about her allergy. Eric goes to his favorite restaurant and spots one odd detail right away. Can you see it too? The lady on the right is trying to eat soup with a fork. After lunch, Eric decides to visit the local historical museum to see an exhibition of rare, fancy shoes. Oh no! Someone stole the most precious pair that belonged to a queen. The museum guard studies the crime scene. He's confused because the thief left no clues. Numerous guests visited this exhibition on the day of the robbery. The guard decides to examine the footage of that day and finds the thief pretty quickly. Can you also spot a thief among these people? Something about this lady is very suspicious. She became taller in the second image. That's because she's wearing the stolen shoes. Eric leaves the museum and finds out that someone has stolen his car and crashed into a tree. He questions 3 suspects. Bella says, "I've just arrived at a business meeting, but I noticed your broken car and came closer to offer help." Lily says, "It wasn't me, but I think I saw someone running out of your car. He was wearing a hoodie." And Bill says, "My dog ran away this morning. I was just wandering around the block trying to find him." Who stole the car? Bella's watch is cracked, so she probably broke it in the accident. The next morning, Eric wakes up and finds himself in the middle of an enchanted beach. There are 3 possible routes to a portal that will bring him back to his town. The first passage is on fire. Creepy snakes are crawling all over the second road, and the third road is covered with hot lava. Which way is more or less safe? Both fire and lava can burn him badly, but the snakes won't attack unless he provokes them. Eric enters the portal, but instead of returning home, he goes to prison. Eric spends a month in jail planning to escape. During this period, he dug a tunnel and packed a bunch of food to eat. This is it. He's running through the tunnel. But at the end of it, he faces 3 doors. The most strict and strong guard is hiding behind the first door. There's a hungry vampire behind the second door. He bites anyone who dares to enter. And there's an angry dog behind the third door. Just like the vampire, it likes to bite the prisoners. Can you help Eric choose the best option? The third door. Eric has a lot of food. He can use it to distract the dog and escape. Finally, Eric is home and he can change. Eric has 53 socks in his drawer, 21 blue, 15 black, and 17 red. Suddenly, the lights are out and he's completely in the dark. How many socks must Eric take out to be 100% certain he has at least one pair of black socks? Let's consider a pessimistic scenario in which Eric pulls out only red and blue socks until they run out completely. He'll need to pull out 38 socks in total before he can even start pulling out the desired color. Therefore, we should add 2 more socks to the 38 figure to make sure Eric has at least one black pair. So the answer is 40 socks. The next morning, Eric goes for a walk in the park. Suddenly, a stranger grabs his phone and hurries away. Eric finds a police officer and describes the robber. He was wearing a coat, a hat, and a pair of glasses. He also had a mustache. The officer runs in the direction that Eric shows him. A bit further, he finds a hat, a coat, and glasses lying on the ground. He decides to search the local cafe. There are 4 visitors inside. One of them is the thief. Can you spot who? It's the guy on the right. He has a small wound on his upper lip. He must have gotten rid of his fake mustache in a hurry. Eric enters a coffee shop and buys a double cappuccino. He puts his cup on a table and leaves for a moment to wash his hands. Then Eric comes back and finds out that his coffee is missing. He decides to question 3 people nearby. Oliver says, "I was scrolling my feed, so I didn't look around. As for me, I can't drink cappuccino. I'm lactose intolerant." Nina says, "I also ordered 1 cappuccino, so this cup is mine. I can show you the receipt if you don't believe me." Sheila says, "I haven't been drinking coffee for 5 years because it makes me very anxious. Why would I steal your beverage?" After hearing what they had to say, Eric knows for sure who's a liar. What about you? There's a slice of cheese in Oliver's sandwich, but it can be vegan. Nina took a smaller cappuccino, so this cup can't belong to Eric. Meanwhile, Sheila is holding a can of cold coffee beverage. Therefore, her story is fake. Eric and his friend Shelly are meeting for coffee. She's very excited because she has a secret crush. Eric begs for his name, but Shelly is too shy, so she just writes the following code on a piece of paper. Can you figure out the name of her crush? The numbers imply 3 months: December, August, and November. If we take the first letters of each month, we'll get the name Dan. Shelly's birthday is approaching. Eric decides to save some money for a gift. On the first day of the month, he puts $1 in his piggy bank. On the second, he puts in $2. On the third day, $3, and so on. Yay! Shelly's birthday has finally arrived. And Eric has saved a total of $276 in his piggy bank. Can you guess the exact day of the month when Shelly was born? Shelly's birthday is on the 23rd day of the month. The easiest way to crack this riddle without engaging in any formula would be to simply add the numbers until we get 276. It will happen on the 23rd day. Eric gives Shelley her birthday gift and shakes her hand. Can you spot any mistakes in this picture? People tend to spot a wedding ring on the wrong finger, but it can be just a casual ring. But take a closer look at her watch. The majority of wristwatches have a crown on the right side, so here's the mistake.
You just entered a riddle solving competition. The game show host shows you the first riddle you have to answer. Take a look at the image. Who do you think will be able to make it all the way across the line? Let's face it, it's the man on the left. Even though it looks like he's having a hard time carrying such heavy things, the weight is evenly distributed between his two hands, so he'll probably make it through without any problem. For your next challenge, the game show host shows you a picture of sinking boats. Which boat do you think will sink first? The first boat has 2 holes in it, but somehow it has way less water inside. The second boat only has 1 hole, but look at the amount of water that's gotten inside. It's definitely the second boat that's going to sink first. Since you passed the first 2 rounds, the third one gets a bit harder. Ken was riding on his rollerblades when he fell down and hurt his head. He woke up in the hospital, only to find that 3 Barbies were waiting for him. Take a look at the image. Can you figure out which Barbie is actually Ken's girlfriend? This is a tricky one. It can't be the third Barbie, because the real Barbie would never wink at Ken. It's usually him that does the flirty things. It's also not the second Barbie, because she would never put on makeup in front of him. So this leaves us with the first Barbie, who must be his girlfriend. The Finn is a famous hostel in Spain. It's especially famous for its fun showers. But hey, something doesn't look right in this image. Take a look and try to guess what it is. The woman on the right is squeezing a ketchup bottle instead of a shampoo bottle. That's definitely weird, huh? For the final rounds, the host picked out a few written riddles for you. The first one is, I speak without a mouth and hear without ears. Am I a microphone, a phone, or an echo? What would you say? The answer is echo, echo, echo. I'm not alive, but I can grow. I don't have lungs, but I need air. What am I? A tree, fire, or clouds? The correct answer is fire. Way to go if you chose that. Now, Carol was invited to a Halloween party in an abandoned house. Her friends asked if she was up for a challenge, and she said yes. Soon enough, she was locked inside a room. In this room, there was 1 door and 3 light switches next to it. Behind the door was an empty closet with nothing but a light bulb. Her task was to figure out which switch controls the light bulb inside the closet. She could flip the switches in whatever way she wanted, but once she opened the door, she couldn't touch the switches anymore. After some minutes of thinking, she was able to get it right. How did Carol do it? Okay, let's go step by step. She flipped switch number 1 and then waited a few minutes. She flipped it back to off and then immediately flipped switch number 2. Then she opened the door and checked the light. The bulb was off, so she discovered that it wasn't switch number 2 that controlled the light. So she decided to touch the bulb to test if it was hot or cold. If the bulb had been cold, that would have meant that switch number 3 controlled it. But the bulb was hot, so that meant that switch number 1 controlled 1. Way to go, Carol! To get back to the party, Carol had to solve another riddle. There were 2 hourglasses in front of her. One hourglass measures 7 minutes, and the other one measures 4 minutes. She needed to time 9 minutes using both hourglasses. How could she do it? First, she turned both hourglasses at the same time. By the time the 4-minute glass finished, there were still 3 minutes left on the other one. She flipped the 4-minute glass again. When the 7-minute glass was empty, there was 1 minute left on the other glass. And once the 4-minute glass emptied again, there was 1 minute's worth of sand at the bottom half of the 7-minute timer. She flipped it over again, so there was 1 minute worth of sand on the top of the glass. And when the 7-minute timer finally emptied again, 9 minutes elapsed in total. Anna sat down to watch her favorite TV show. She made some popcorn, turned on the TV, and nestled comfortably to binge-watch an entire season. Her cat Pepper sat down next to her, but after 5 minutes of screen time, Anna suddenly passed out. Look at the image. Can you guess what happened there? Anna's cat Pepper got scared with the loud thump that came from the TV. It jumped on top of Anna and it scared the life out of her. That's why she passed out. Take a look at this scene. Who do you think has the best chance at survival? The 2 guys look pretty stuck in there, but the woman on the right might have a chance. The rope looks a bit loose around her body. She could try to shake it off and then use her free hands to untie her ankles. Bella landed in New York with a very ambitious career goal. But first thing she needed to do after arriving in the city was to find her apartment. There were many options to get from the airport to her apartment, but Bella decided to save money and go by bus. She had to purchase a ticket for $10, but a handsome guy popped out of nowhere and offered her a better deal. He said his plans had changed and he didn't need his bus ticket anymore. He offered to sell it to her for $6. Bella agreed and gave him the money, but it turned out to be a big mistake. Why? Take a look at the current date on the screen of the vending machine. And now check the date on the ticket. The ticket the man sold Bella expired over a month ago. Finally, Bella managed to arrive in Manhattan and find her apartment. She was sharing a house with 3 other women. Bella introduced herself to them and went to settle in her room. She left her belongings on her bed and went to take a shower. When she stepped out of the shower, Bella noticed that her laptop was missing. She got furious and decided to interrogate all of her new roommates. Sarah said she had gone out to get a cup of coffee. She even told Bella to ask the doorman of their building since he had seen her leave. Kelly said that she had taken an afternoon nap with her headphones on. She said she hadn't heard or seen anything strange going on inside the apartment. Shannon said that she had gone to the building's rooftop to take some pictures of the city since she was a professional photographer. Can you tell who's lying here? It's Shannon. If you notice the sign on the lobby, the building strictly prohibits people from accessing the rooftop. Alfred is a supermodel and he just landed his dream job. The biggest magazine in the country invited him to be on the cover of their latest issue. On the day of the photo shoot, he arrived early in the studio. After finishing with hair and makeup, he looked in the mirror and screamed, "Oh no!" His skin was all red. It looked like he was having some serious allergic rash. He called all the assistants he had seen earlier in the day to interrogate them. Amy, the photographer's assistant, said she had been told Alfred was allergic to peanuts, so she made sure to only buy safe snacks. Bo, the makeup artist, said he hadn't touched Alfred's food. He said that right after he finished doing his job, he left for a coffee break. Mary, the cleaning lady, said that she knew how sensitive models could be, so that's why she had only used organic and hypoallergenic products to clean his dressing room. Alfred immediately knew who had contributed to his rash. Can you figure it out too? It was definitely Bo. Sure, he didn't have access to Alfred's food, but he was the only one who touched Alfred's face that day. Liv was recording a dance routine for her social media page when a huge portal opened up and swallowed her whole. The next thing she knew, she was stuck inside a big cavern. Out of the blue, a great genie appeared. He told her that she would only be allowed to leave if she figured a way out by herself. As soon as he disappeared, she saw that there were 3 buttons on the wall. There was a red, a yellow, and a green button. On the floor, there was a note that read TDUPT, RNOR, EHEB, and SST. She clicked one of the buttons and managed to open a door on the wall. Can you guess which button she chose? The red button. She unscrambled the words on the note and discovered it read, "Press the red button." As soon as she pressed the button, Liv was transported into a virtual reality world. An artificial intelligence greeted her welcome and showed her 3 doors. The AI told her that only one door would lead to her freedom. It told her that behind the first door, there were hungry Pac-Men waiting for someone to walk inside. Behind the second door, there were cursed rollerblades. Once you put them on, you'd never be able to take them off. Plus, they had a will of their own and ended up taking you to some pretty dark places. Behind the last door, there were flying fuzzy creatures with laser eyes that would burn anything they came into contact with. Which door do you think Liv should use to escape? Well, she should pick the second door, because she wouldn't be obligated to put the pair of rollerblades on. She could walk past them and straight to her freedom. During the time she was gone, Liv noticed that someone had stolen her laptop. It had all her social media content on it. She figured it must have been one of her roommates, so she decided to take a look around the house and try to find it. Look at these images. The first room belongs to Jill, the second one belongs to Rachel, and the third one belongs to Amy. Can you figure out who stole Liv's laptop? If you look closely, Rachel's cat is sleeping on top of something that really looks like a laptop. It must have been her.